Hello, we're talking about Great Britain and India. So the first thing we want to talk about in terms of the British, I guess, motivation or why they accepted their imperialism. And this is a poem by Rudyard Kipling, and it's about the white man's burden, which was um, the general principle that Europeans carried, especially the British. And it describes the ideals that the British people had about India. The term half devil and half child captures this idea that the Indians were beneath the British. The British people began to truly believe this, and this helped justify their actions because they didn't believe that they were actually that bad.
Here is a political cartoon showing our British guy with the top hat, and clearly has multiple people on his back that are representing several countries, such as China, and it's a bit small to read, but there's also India, and he's carrying them up above slavery, brutality, cannibalism, all the way to civilization. Essentially, he's saying these countries, including India, is a burden for him, the white man, and he's taking them to civilized places.
And so John Stuart Mill wrote this review of politics, and he was a very liberal philosopher for the time. And he defended imperialism on the grounds of intervening because of a moral burden that Britain had. He said that the British had a responsibility to end war, slavery, and other conflicts that took place in India. He described it as being enlightened and selfless. He believed that the British could only help by intervening. If the British had to intervene on India's behalf and teach them how to behave, it proves that Britain thought of them as superior to India, even by very liberal thinkers of the time.
Here is a little part of something Thomas Babington said. It was a speech in Parliament on the government of the India Bill, and it was published 1833. He talks about education, and he states here that they are were too ignorant to value or too poor to buy English manufactures. To trade with civilized men is infinitely more profitable than to govern savages. He's essentially calling the Indians savages, and the only way to be able to trade with them and make it profitable is if they taught their Western ways to them.
And so this cartoon, from the Queen of India, it's satirical. It's from a satirical magazine called Punch, and it depicts a young Queen Victoria wearing coronation robes and holding a scepter. In front of her kneels an Indian woman. It is representative of the beginning of Britain's official monarchical relationship with India, and further highlights contemporary views toward the change in administration of India. During this transfer of control, Queen Victoria recognized the Indians as British subjects, as in they were equal on paper. The cartoon, however, suggests a different view. The two women, Queen Victoria and a nameless woman wearing a lehenga choli, represent their respective nations, Britain and India. Their body language and Queen Victoria's coronation robes imply a narrative of India submissively subjecting to their power and the will of the British monarchy. Um, and so if you see in these maps here, this talks about how quickly the British were able to get into India. And so the first map from 1805, I mean, that's a lot of area, don't get me wrong, but within, I guess, 100 years, let me, I get, no, never mind. So yeah, 100 years, they're able to gather the entire subcontinent, which is a massive land area, and it really happens through the East India Company setting up trading posts at three major centers of India: Chennai, Madras, and Calcutta. And the East India Company began to control more and more of India. And then the Industrial Revolution